Alright, you salty sailors, time to raise anchor and set sail for your best scrawny life. Arr!
It started out at Ledges State Park. The lower parking lots were all closed, so we had to walk down from the upper parking lot. These common mushrooms, hopefully you're starting to recognize by now. There's Cornelius distans, Lactarius samicola, very common, Russula parvovirescens, some chanterelles.
Here. That could be Russula densifolia, or a few more chanterelles.
Chanterelles, of course, have the false gills, those blunt ridges rather than true paper-thin gills underneath the cap. Another common one that you should probably begin to recognize by now is Tylophilus rubrobrunius. Now this I'm pretty sure is in the genus Hydenellum, but there are a lot of Hydenellum and Phelodon and so forth that sort of look like this in the early stages. So we'll just go with family Bankeraceae for now. You can see those denticles, the teeth underneath the cap. Here we have what appears to be another one of those gilled boletes.
We've got a single solitary hedgehog there. You can see the denticles, the teeth under the cap.
I'm not sure about this one. Possibly feeding on some of that buried wood. Has the pink spore print, or appears to have a pink spore print like a Pluteus. Look how translucent the upper part of that cap is. Quite strange. Here's a look at those false gills of the chanterelles. There's a craterellus, or a black trumpet mushroom.
Right beside the trail, we've got a red-capped Russula. Unknown Thelephora. Sebastina schweitzii. Lactifluus volinus. And we've got a little craterellus.
I was off the beaten path before I really began to find good numbers of hedgehogs.
You can see the denticles on that. And there's a big one. Got a little patch over here. You can see these ones are kind of old already. But there's some that could be picked if I were going to pick today. The bugs usually don't get to them too bad. There's some more over here. That's a nice one.
The bugs don't seem to chew up these hedgehog mushrooms as badly as they do the chanterelles. These are edible mushrooms and fairly easy to identify by the denticles underneath the cap. It's just you don't want to confuse them with the Hydenellum type that we saw earlier. Here's a look at what those denticles are, the teeth under the cap. You'll recall I mentioned Ostrea virginiana, the American hop hornbeam, in the last video. This is a related species, simply called American hornbeam, sometimes called musclewood, and also goes by the name ironwood. Another small but very hard, dense tree. I think this is common mugwort. It's in the Asteraceae family for sure. Somewhat difficult to identify because of how variable the leaf shapes are throughout its growth. Well, I was soon tired of clambering around on the backside of ledges and the long walk back up to the parking lot, so I decided to head up to Holst State Forest instead. So the rest of what you see is found at Holst State Forest. We've got some yellow oysters with those decurrent gills running down the stem. Some of that Sebacina encrustans. There we have Lactarius subplinthogallis. I'm pretty sure this is Liophyllum decastes, one of those somewhat difficult to identify mushrooms. This park is known to have a lot of these Lanmoa pseudosensibilis. The staining reaction that we'll see here is somewhat variable from specimen to specimen. Here you can see a younger specimen that stained very, very slowly. And one might think that these are Bowrangia bicolor, but they're not. They don't have that same smell that mushroom always has. So, indeed, engaging all the senses to identify mushrooms. Here we can see the slow progression, but the flesh does indeed stain. Now, my previous experience had been that this park has a lot of lobster mushrooms, but not very many chanterelles. However, I was seeing chanterelles as well as lobster mushrooms.
That's a lobster mushroom right there.
I see more lobsters. That one. Really nice shape right there. Flush of lobsters here. 1, 2, 30. That's a pretty nice one.
More chanterelles. Looks like maybe we've got some more over here as well. I would be willing to venture is Cantharellus phasmatus. Got some more down here. Yeah, I definitely think we can call those phasmatus. But there still are lobster mushrooms here. There's a nice one right there. These are past their prime. Got a few more chanterelles.
The genus Lanmao takes its name from Lan Mao, a Chinese herbalist.
There's a lobster. And a patch of chanterelles. A fetid russula.
The bolete here is maybe Tylopolis baticeps. It's not Rubrobrunius. These small red-capped boletes can be fairly difficult to identify. This one has some of that cracking on the cap, but a lot of them do. These Gyroporus purpurinus, however, are one of the ones that are dissimilar enough from the rest of the group to be fairly certain of the identification. There's no yellow, there's no cracking, has that bright white pore surface.
Hygrossopy conica. Some more of those. We've got lobster mushrooms. There's a nice one. There's an old one. Now that's the first hedgehog I've seen here. Hiding them. Oh, maybe one right there. Well, we've got a couple more lobsters here. But what's more surprising, there's another hedgehog. Here's a whole flush of hedgehogs here, so I guess you just gotta find the right spot. Seems to be predominantly hickories right here where this that's Latipora cincinnatus. There's a Abelitus variety. See that stem reticulation, white reticulation on the stem. There's some more like Typhlois molinas. That's a huge lobster. That is a big lobster mushroom right there. That's a Boletus variety. Got some big Hygrossopy conicas here. Looks like a patch of chanterelles over there. Got a Russula parvovirescens down there. That Subicena Sparasoides, I think, is the species name. I've seen a lot of that here. Oh yeah, this is a nice flush of chanterelles. A couple more Strobilomyces.
So yes, a lot of lobster mushrooms, but a lot of other species as well. Quite a tremendous variety of mushrooms in there, and I only covered the easier parts to walk to. Some of those steeper slopes that are overgrown a bit more, didn't cover those at all. Who knows what's out there?